They told you it was impossible. They laughed. They doubted. Their voices carved scars into your mind, branding you with words you never asked for. Not good enough, not strong enough, not meant for greatness. Every time you reached, they pulled you down. Every time you spoke, they silenced you with their smirks, their dismissive glances, their venomous whispers behind closed doors. They didn't just expect you to fail. They needed you to fail. Because if you rose, if you defied them, if you proved them wrong, what would that say about them? So they buried you. They shoved you into a corner, locked you in a cage built of their own fears, and called it fate. You were never meant to win, they said. You were never built for more. And slowly, you started to believe them. The weight of their doubt became your own. It seeped into your bone, coiling around your ribs like a vice, squeezing the air from your lungs until you could barely breathe. You woke up drowning, suffocating under the heaviness of a world that never saw you, a world that never wanted you to be more than what they decided you were. And it wasn't just them, was it? It was you, too, the voice in your own head, whispering the same poison they fed you. Maybe they're right. Maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe I was never meant for more. You looked in the mirror and saw a stranger staring back at you, someone too tired to fight, too broken to hope, too lost to believe in a future that wasn't filled with failure. Every dream you once had felt like a cruel joke. Every step forward felt like an invitation for the world to slap you back down. You wanted to run, but there was nowhere left to go. You wanted to scream, but no one would listen. And then came the silence. The long, suffocating silence where doubt became your only companion. You stopped reaching out because no one ever reached back. You stopped speaking because no one ever listened. You let the world close in. Let the darkness creep a little deeper into your soul. Let the fire inside you flicker until it was barely more than an ember. And maybe, just maybe, you started to think that this was all life would ever be. A slow, endless suffocation under the weight of doubt. A quiet surrender to a world that had already written your ending before you even had a chance to begin. But deep inside, beneath the wreckage, beneath the fear, beneath the lies they fed you, something was still there, faint, but there. A pulse, a whisper, a sliver of rage buried under years of silence, the ember that refused to die. The world never cared about your struggle. It never paused to ask if you were okay, never offered a hand when you were sinking. It kept moving, kept grinding forward, relentless and indifferent. Your pain? Irrelevant. Your dreams? Laughable. Your voice? Drowned out by the noise of those who had already claimed their place. You walked through life as a ghost, unseen, unheard, unnoticed, except when they needed something from you. They pretended to believe in you once, didn't they? They smiled, nodded, offered empty words of encouragement. You can do anything. We believe in you. Lies, wrapped in pretty packaging. Because the moment you stumbled, the moment the road became difficult, they disappeared. Their faith was never real. It was conditional. They would cheer for you as long as it required nothing from them, as long as you stayed in the box they had built for you. But the second you tried to break free, the second you aimed higher than they thought you should, they turned. They called you reckless, unrealistic, foolish. They said, be practical. They said, people like you don't make it. They said, it's just not meant for everyone. But what they really meant was, stay small. What they really wanted was for you to accept your place, to stop reaching for things they never had the courage to chase. Because if you succeeded, if you proved them wrong, then what excuse would they have for their own mediocrity? So they ignored you. They let your struggles go unnoticed. They pretended not to see the way you fought, the way you clawed for something more, the way you shattered yourself against the walls they built around you. And when you failed, because failure is inevitable before success, they were the first to say, I told you so. They fed on your losses, used them as proof that they had been right all along. They never wanted you to win. They just wanted the comfort of knowing you would never rise above them. And the world, it was no better. It was built to swallow you whole, to grind you into nothing and spit you out forgotten. You were never its priority. You were never part of its design. It didn't owe you success, didn't hand out rewards for effort, didn't care about the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the blood you shed trying to carve your name into something permanent. It would rather see you disappear than acknowledge you ever existed. You were invisible. You walked through crowds like a shadow, unnoticed, unimportant. They looked past you, through you, around you, as if you were nothing. And maybe you started to believe it. Maybe you started to shrink, to disappear within yourself, to accept the fate they tried to write for you. But deep inside, something was waking up. A rage, a hunger, a refusal to be forgotten. You weren't meant to be invisible. You weren't meant to be insignificant. The world wanted you to fail, but that was about to become its greatest mistake. They swore they'd stand by you. They swore they'd never leave. But when the storms came, when the nights got long and the road turned steep, they vanished. One by one, like ghosts fading into the fog, they walked away, leaving you alone with nothing but echoes of promises that were never real. You replayed their words, trying to make sense of the silence they left behind. I'll always have your back. I believe in you. We're in this together. Lies, all of it. Because when you needed them most, when your world was crumbling and you reached for a hand, there was no one there. And it wasn't just friends. It was family, too. The ones who were supposed to believe in you when no one else did. The ones who should have seen your worth even when the world was blind to it. But they didn't. Maybe they never did. They measured you against their own failures, their own fears, their own limitations. Why can't you be more like them? Why do you have to be so different? Why don't you just settle for what you have? Every word was a dagger, every doubt a weight pressing down on your chest. They were supposed to lift you up, but instead they held you down. And then came the loneliness, the kind that wraps around you like a cold, relentless fog, the kind that makes even crowded rooms feel empty. You watched the world move on without you, watched people laugh, succeed, live as if you never existed. You learned how to be alone, not by choice but by necessity. Nights stretched into eternity, filled with questions that had no answers. Why wasn't I enough? Why did they leave? Why did no one stay? But then came the realization, the truth buried beneath the pain. They didn't leave because you were weak. They left because your strength scared them, because you weren't willing to settle, because you refused to shrink into a version of yourself that made them comfortable. They abandoned you not because you weren't worthy, but because they weren't ready to face what you were becoming. And now you rise alone. Now you walk the road they were too afraid to follow. They will regret leaving. They will regret doubting. And when they come back, because they always do, it will be too late. You are no longer waiting for them. You are no longer looking back. The pain they left you with, it forged something unstoppable. There was a night, the kind of night that feels like the end of everything. The kind of night where the weight of it all pressed down on your chest so hard you could barely breathe. Hope felt like a cruel joke, a distant memory, a lie you once believed in but no longer could. You sat in the darkness, staring into nothing, feeling everything, the failures, the betrayal, the silence, the endless, suffocating silence. It felt like the universe had already decided. You were never meant to make it. You were never meant to be more. You thought about walking away, from the dream, from the fight, maybe even from life itself. Because what was the point? Every time you tried, the world knocked you down harder. Every time you reached, something pulled you back. It would have been easier to let go, to stop fighting, to surrender. You stood at the edge. Whether a real edge or a metaphorical one, it didn't matter. The feeling was the same. That terrifying moment where giving up felt like the only option left. No one was coming to save you. No one was listening. No one would care if you disappeared, or so you thought. But something inside of you refused to die. It wasn't loud. It wasn't grand. It was just a whisper, a quiet, defiant whisper in the back of your mind. Not yet, not like this. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was something deeper, something primal, something unbreakable. Whatever it was, it pulled you back. It made you stand up. It made you breathe, even when you didn't want to. It made you move, even when your body felt too heavy to carry. That night didn't break you. It almost did. It came so close, but instead it did something else. It stripped you down to nothing, to the raw, brutal core of who you were. And in that emptiness, something was born. A decision, a fire, a promise to yourself that you would never let the world win. You weren't done, you weren't finished, and they had no idea what was coming. Something shifted that night. A crack in the foundation of everything you had been told. A spark, small but undeniable, igniting in the depths of your soul. For so long, you had been a prisoner, chained by their words, their doubts, their limits. But now the truth was screaming through the silence. You are more than their opinion, more than their expectations, more than their small, suffocating version of you. They tried to define you, tried to tell you who you were, what you could be, what you could never become, and you believed them until now. Because now, you saw it, the lie, the illusion, the truth that had been hiding in plain sight. They were never your judges. They were never your gods. They were never the ones who got to decide your fate. And suddenly, the pain that once crushed you felt different. It wasn't a curse. It wasn't a sign of weakness. It was fuel. Every failure, every rejection, every moment of doubt, none of it had been wasted. It had been sharpening you, forging you, making you into something stronger than they ever imagined. You clenched your fists, not in despair, not in defeat, but in defiance. The anger they once used against you, you would use it now. The frustration that kept you up at night, it would be your weapon. No longer would you beg for approval. No longer would you wait for permission. You were done being the victim. You were done waiting for them to see your worth, because they never would. And that was their mistake. You didn't need their validation. You didn't need their belief. You only needed one thing, the fire inside you to burn brighter than their doubt. And from this moment forward, that fire would never die. You stand in front of the mirror, and for the first time, you really look. Not the way you used to, half-hearted, avoiding your own reflection, afraid of what you might see. No, this time, you face it. The scars, the doubts, the weight of every failure, every moment of hesitation, the version of you that was shaped by their words, their limits, their expectations, the version of you that shrank, that apologized, that begged for permission to exist. And then the truth hits like a blade to the chest. You are your greatest enemy, not them, not the doubters, not the ones who left. You. It was never their words that truly held you back. It was the way you accepted them. It was never their limits that defined you. It was the way you believed in those limits. The world never had power over you. The enemy was never out there. It was always inside. The voice in your head that whispered, "What if they're right?" The fear that told you, you can't handle failure. The hesitation that made you step back when you should have stepped forward. But now, there is no place left to hide. The mirror does not lie. You see yourself for what you truly are. Not a victim, not a failure, but something else entirely. A warrior trapped in a cage of hesitation. And you realize, if you want to become who you were meant to be, you must kill the weak version of yourself. Not with hate, not with regret, but with conviction. You take one last look at the person you used to be, the one who cared what they thought, the one who played small, the one who let fear make the decisions, and then you let them go. Because from this moment on, you are no longer them. You are no longer afraid. You are becoming. The fire inside you is no longer just a spark. It's spreading, consuming the doubt, burning away the weakness. But the world doesn't see it yet. Not yet. This transformation is happening in the dark, in the silence, away from the eyes of those who once mocked you. You start small. The first battle is always the hardest, waking up before the world, pushing forward when no one is watching, forcing yourself to take the first steps when your body and mind beg you to stop. But this time, you don't stop. You don't give in. Every moment of resistance is another brick laid in the foundation of the new you. While they sleep, you work. While they waste time, you sharpen your edge. While they laugh at your dreams, you train in the shadows, knowing that one day they won't be laughing anymore. They'll be watching in disbelief. Every push-up, every late night, every early morning, it all adds up. The version of you that once hesitated is disappearing. The fire is rising. The hunger is growing. The transformation is happening. And even though the world hasn't seen it yet, you feel it. And soon they will too. They start to notice. The ones who once ignored you. The ones who rolled their eyes when you spoke about your dreams. The same people who laughed, doubted, and walked away are now watching, but not because they believe in you. No, they're watching because they expect you to fail again. They see the changes, but they don't think they'll last. They whisper among themselves, waiting for the moment you stumble, for the moment you break under the weight of your own ambition. In their minds, this is just another phase, another attempt doomed to collapse like all the others. Let them watch, let them doubt, because they don't understand what's coming. They don't realize that this time is different, that this fire inside you isn't temporary, it's permanent, that the version of you they once knew is gone. They think they know your limits. They think they've seen everything you have to offer, but they haven't seen anything yet. Comfort is the enemy. It whispers lies, telling you to rest, to slow down, to take it easy. It tells you that you've done enough, that you deserve a break, that pushing any harder isn't necessary. Comfort is seductive, wrapping itself around you like a warm blanket, lulling you into mediocrity. But you're not here to be comfortable. You're here to dominate. Excuses must die. Every reason you've ever given yourself for why you can't, burn it. Every justification for why today isn't the day, bury it. The truth is brutal, but it's the only truth that matters. Success is earned in suffering. It is built in the hours no one sees, in the pain no one else is willing to endure. It is not given, it is taken. So you make a choice, a conscious, deliberate choice. You embrace the pain. You welcome the discomfort. When your muscles scream, you keep going. When your mind begs for rest, you push harder. Because every moment of suffering is shaping you into something they will never be able to stop. Let them chase comfort. Let them stay soft. You are different. You are built in the fire. And soon, the world will see what that fire has created. You've spent too much time looking back. Too much time waiting for apologies that will never come. Waiting for closure that doesn't exist. Waiting for the people who left to finally see your worth. But the truth is harsh, and it cuts deep. They're not coming to save you. No one is. The people who hurt you, they've moved on. The ones who doubted you, they barely remember the words that still echo in your mind. The ones who betrayed you, they sleep just fine at night. And you've been carrying their ghosts, dragging the weight of the past behind you like rusted chain. But not anymore. You burn the bridges, every last one. Not out of hate, not out of anger, but out of necessity. Because you cannot step into your future with one foot still stuck in the past. You do not have time for regret. You do not have space for bitterness. You do not have the luxury of waiting for the world to make things right. You make yourself right. You save yourself. And as the bridges crumble into ash, you walk forward, lighter, faster, unstoppable. The voice is always there. It lingers in the shadows, waiting for the moment you hesitate, the second you doubt. It knows exactly what to say to break you. You're not enough. You're not ready. You will fail again. It sounds like you, but it's not you. It's every fear, every insecurity, every piece of doubt the world has ever planted in your mind. And for too long, you've listened. For too long, you've let it control you. Not anymore. You don't silence the voice by reasoning with it. You don't drown it out with empty affirmation. You silence it with action. Every time it says you can't, You prove that you can. Every time it tells you to stop, you push forward. You take control of the narrative, rewriting your identity with every step, every rep, every sacrifice. You are no longer the person you once were. You are no longer a prisoner to doubt. You are the one who decides who you are. And the voice in your head, it no longer has power here. Survival is not enough. You didn't come this far just to exist, just to get by, just to scrape together a hollow victory. Number, that's not who you are anymore. You don't want to win. You want to dominate. Domination is a mindset, a choice, a way of life. It means walking into every situation with absolute certainty that you belong, that you are prepared, that you will not just succeed, you will own the moment. No hesitation, no fear, no second guessing, because warriors don't beg for opportunities. They take them. This is the moment when everything changes, the moment when you stop thinking like the person who was doubted, rejected, and underestimated. That person is gone. What stands in their place is something unshakable, something relentless. The victim is dead, the warrior has risen, and the world is about to find out exactly what that means. They won't understand you anymore. The moment you choose greatness, you become different, and people fear what they don't understand. They'll call you cold. They'll say you've changed. They'll whisper that you're ruthless, obsessed, dangerous. Let them, because they don't know what it took to get here. They don't know the nights you suffered in silence, the battles you fought alone, the war you waged against your own mind. Most people cling to comfort. They want approval, acceptance, a place in the herd. But the herd is weak. The herd follows. The herd settles. And you? You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to lead, and leaders walk alone. This is the dark side of strength. The stronger you become, the fewer people will stand beside you. But that's the price of greatness, and you pay it without hesitation, because you'd rather walk alone in power than be surrounded in mediocrity. No one is coming to save you. No hero, no mentor, no miracle. No one is going to reach down and pull you from the fire. And that is the greatest gift you could ever receive. Because if no one is coming, then there are no limits, no waiting, no permission needed. Everything is in your hand. Every success, every breakthrough, every ounce of power. You claim it yourself. They left you to fight alone? Good. That means no one gets to take credit when you rise. They doubted you? Perfect. That means they'll never see you coming. They tried to break you? Let them try. You are not just surviving this storm. You are the storm. They'll hear the thunder before they see you. But by then, it will be too late. The moment has arrived. The same people who laughed, who whispered, who counted you out, they are all here, watching, waiting. But they aren't laughing now, because the version of you they expected to see, the one they doubted, the one they dismissed, is gone. In its place stands something they never saw coming, something unshakable, something unstoppable. You lock eyes with them, and for the first time, they feel fear, because now they understand. Now they realize their mistake. You were never weak. You were never a joke. You were simply becoming. And now that the transformation is complete, there is nothing they can do to stop you. They said you'd never win. They said you'd break, that you'd fall, that you'd give up like all the others. But look at you now. You didn't just win. You dominated. And the best part? You're just getting started. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You no longer soften your ambition to fit into spaces too small for you. Those days are over. You walk differently now, shoulders back, head high, eyes locked forward. There's no hesitation in your step, no doubt in your voice, because you finally understand the truth. You were never meant to ask. You were meant to take. No more apologizing for wanting more. No more dimming your fire so others don't feel the heat. If they can't handle your intensity, let them step aside. If they're intimidated by your presence, let them move out of the way. You are done waiting, done proving, done explaining. You are no longer seeking approval. You are claiming what is yours. They will try to stop you. They will throw obstacles in your path, whisper doubts in your ear, scheme behind your back. But they don't understand. They are too late. The momentum is yours now. The fire inside you is no longer a flicker. It's a wildfire. The weight they once used to hold you down has only made you stronger. Every attempt to slow you down only fuels your hunger. You move like a storm, relentless, untouchable, unstoppable. No hesitation, no fear, no mercy for the weak excuses that once held you back. You are not just winning, you are crushing everything in your path. They had their chance to believe in you. They had their chance to stand beside you. Now, they will only watch as you rise beyond their reach. This isn't the end. This was never about just one victory, one moment, one rise. Greatness isn't a finish line. It's a way of life. You don't stop. You don't slow down. You don't rest on what you've built, because there is always another level. Now you become something more, a force, a standard, a legend. And for those still lost in the dark, for the ones who doubt themselves like you once did, you are their proof, their reminder, their warning. You are living proof that no excuse is valid, that no obstacle is permanent, that no one decides your fate but you. This is the beginning of something greater. Your legacy doesn't start when the world acknowledges you. It starts the moment you refuse to stop. Now you don't just rise, you never fall again. And now, at the end of it all, you see the truth that was always there, waiting for you to understand. It was never about them, not the doubters, not the haters, not the ones who walked away. It was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving yourself right. Because when the noise fades, when the crowds disappear, when all that remains is the empire you built with your own hands, you realize that you were the only one who ever mattered. Your belief, your fire, your refusal to surrender. You stand at the top, not for their approval, not for their recognition, but because you earned it, because you became it. This was never about revenge. This was never about making them see. It was about becoming who you were always meant to be. And now, nothing will ever stop you again. They said you'd never win. They mocked you, dismissed you, counted you out before the fight even began. They spoke your name with laughter, with doubt, with the certainty that you would fail. But now they don't laugh. Now they don't speak so carelessly. Now they whisper your name with something they never expected to feel. Fear, respect. Because you didn't just prove them wrong. You obliterated every limit they tried to place on you. You didn't just survive, you conquered. You didn't just rise, you took your throne. And now they watch, helpless, in awe, knowing that nothing they say, nothing they do, will ever change the truth. You were always destined to dominate.